Hello.
Hey, I'm Ben.
I'm Claire.
And we're High Jinks.
So, we have just returned from a lovely trip to New Zealand. So I've got my lovely New Zealand jewellery on. And while we were down there, we were really keen to taste some New Zealand gins, preferably gins made with some local botanicals and local products.
It's a bit like, when you go to a seaside holiday and you kind of buy all the tacky souvenirs, you buy the Kiss Me Quick hat and you buy the fridge magnet and you buy the, the postcards to send home to your nan.
Yes, we wanted the New Zealand gin postcard.
But isn't it much better just to buy a nice gin? Isn't that better than buying rubbish fridge magnets and stuff? It's more useful and it gets you drunk. So that's got to be a bonus, right?
Yes, exactly. And to me, one of the things I feel about gin, one of the things that attracts me to gin is that I feel like gin is kind of a biome. When you try a gin from a different country using local botanicals, you almost sort of feel like you're there. You've got the local products, the local vegetation, you can smell it. You sort of feel like you're there. And so for me, being a New Zealander, I would love to have some gins in London that remind me of home. And so that was part of the search when we were down there. So on my radar came, hang on, did I say that in the right order?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
On my radar came 1919 gin.
Do you know what? We're not grammar Nazis here. You can say whatever you want.
Anyway.
Maybe off camera.
So 1919 gin came on my radar.
Why is it called 1919 gin, do we think? Do we know?
I did read this, but I feel like... So it was to do with the year. It was the year that Prohibition ended in...
I've just thrown you a curveball and you've nailed it. This is amazing, but it's amazing. You've nailed it.
I'm pretty sure because you did ask me. I feel like we talked about that at the time, and I looked it up. So I think it's to do with Prohibition ending and basically a celebration of being able to drink, which is great
freedom.
For all
Exactly,
of us.
because gin, and kind of it represents partying, it represents good times, and it represents freedom. So that makes absolute sense.
Yeah, exactly. And so obviously the name was exciting. But one of the other things that excited me personally about 1919 is the use of some local botanicals. So Otago cherries. Now I associate Otago with going down to visit my friends who were studying at Otago University and all the shenanigans or the hijinks as such that happened down there. But also when I think of Otago, I think of crisp cold weather. I think of their beautiful wines, their Pinot Gris and their Pinot Noir.
It's a rugby stadium.
Otago.
Yeah, they definitely play rugby. Most of my knowledge of geography is sports related. So.
Yeah. See, I associate Otago with alcohol, but that's probably because of my personal experiences.
Rugby and booze isn't far away, is it? So.
And knowing people who went surfing there when they were studying there in full length wetsuits, and I thought they were crazy because it's so cold. Like
you just said, all the things that attract you most to gin. Do you know what the thing that attracts me most to gin?
What?
Is the fact it's usually above 40% ABV.
Yes.
I mean,
which
brilliant.
I guess you need at somewhere like Otago, because if I remember anything about visiting my friends in their student flats was that there was basically there's no heating. You couldn't use your space heater too long because you might set the place on fire because the electrics. There were holes in the walls, cracks in the window panes.
Well, if you go back to coming back, all the way around the world on a flight that you can get nowadays, but it would have taken you years. Back in the day, if you go back to the city of London back in the day, people who were homeless this is how it started, would distill, well, not distill in that sense, but make their own gin in order just to sort of, they're on the streets, but just sort of get them by. Yeah. And it was filthy stuff, of course, because it wasn't made in the same distillation processes that we made. We sort of do everything now. That's why you get things
called bathtub and jawbox.
Well, that's how it came up, but I mean, bathtub gin was made... it was called bathtub gin because originally gin was made in a bathtub.
Yeah.
And...
Or a jawbox.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's all this sort of stuff going on with it, but it's incredibly society-led, isn't it? And so gin, I feel like through the ages has been a massively sort of social thing, and it ties in very well with the whole sort of regional thing. And obviously in the last few years, gin has sort of taken over as being an incredibly important spirit in kind of the alcohol industry.
Yeah.
But it is very much like every town has their gin. You know, every town has their football team and rugby team and, you know, this and that and the other, and town hall. And most towns now have their gin.
Which is why it's so special, because you drink a gin from a town and you are in that town for a little bit.
So I go back to my point, who needs a fridge magnet when you can try the gins?
Exactly.
So
it's
that's
like
the
a
thing.
little souvenir biome.
That's why it's so important when you go to these places. You know, you go to Barcelona and you want to try tapas and you know all of the kind of indigenous food, and like gin's no different. I don't think. I think it's all about finding the things that really relate to the country, and you get a little flavour of wherever you've been. And Claire's been amazing, and she's found a real sort of flavour of New Zealand in what she's brought back.
Yeah. So how I came across this wonderful little sample of 1919 was there is a wonderful bar in Auckland called the Gin Room, which has a wonderful selection of New Zealand gins. And I went in there particularly to try a couple of gins that had come to my attention, one of which was 1919. Unfortunately, they did not have it in stock, by which I was disappointed. But 1919 to the rescue made sure that we had a little sample before we left the country. Not just one sample, 2 little samples, and also some lovely New Zealand tonics as well. So we are very, very fortunate and very grateful to be able to try this gin, because I would have been extraordinarily disappointed to get on that plane without having tried a gin that contains Otago cherries. So, shall we get around to some tasting?
Okay, so shall we try it dry first, as it were?
Yes, absolutely.
So this is how I think most people would recommend you try gin. First of all, try it neat, because how you know, tonic can very much sort of disperse flavours and add new flavours and accent different things, but it's very interesting to sort of try the product neat as it comes in the bottle, as people are selling it.
Yeah.
And see what you get out of it.
Definitely get the sweetness of the cherries on the sniff.
Yeah, you were talking about Otago cherries, weren't you? That's what it is. Is that a thing then? Is Otago cherry, is that like a thing? Is that like...
I think so. Like, to be fair, I probably never paid much attention.
You know, kind of like Lancashire bomber or whatever it is.
So I've actually lived out of New Zealand for 10 years now. I have become a British citizen. But...
Congratulations.
So my memory of eating cherries in New Zealand is probably of just eating whatever we got from the supermarket and not paying a lot of attention to where they came from. So it's entirely possible that Otago cherries is a big thing. But
I get that straight away. Like, you get the sweetness,
absolutely,
like, on the nose, like on the front of the palate.
And now it's all cherries.
Cherries right at the end.
Aftertaste, yeah.
I need to try again just to see what we get in the middle, because I didn't really get that first time. So I read up a bit about this, and they said that there's like lemon and stuff, citrus.
Yeah.
So citrus, which would make sense. That cherries and citrus is a classic, delicious combination. I feel like the cherry sort of...
They're at the foreground, and then on the aftertaste.
The cherry is the champion here, isn't it? And then I feel like there's quite a sort of a solid dry gin, juniper forward.
Yes, the standard botanicals.
Don't get a lot of lemon, I have to be honest. But I get a lot of a sort of a honest dry gin, you know.
In the middle.
Yeah, in the middle. And then it's nice because it sort of washes away the sweetness, and you're left with the aromatic.
Yeah,
sort of
the
ending.
Aftertaste is just a lovely
so it's like you
perfume of cherries.
It's that classic thing. It entices you with the sweetness. It lets you know it's a gin, and then it leaves you with a lovely memory. At the end, it's a very sort of, I don't know, it's maybe a romantic way of putting it. But what about if we mix it with a little bit of tonic?
Shall we?
Shall we do a big boy gin and tonic?
We'll do a big boy gin and tonic. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with the standard. It's East Imperial Tonic. We've got a couple of different varieties of the East Imperial Tonic. We're going to start by making up a proper gin and tonic with just the regular standard.
I don't know where you get this in the UK. I'm a member of the Craft Gin Club.
You had heard of it, hadn't you?
But I'd heard of it because I'd had some Australasian gin before, I think West Winds, and they sent this over with it. And I have to say it was delicious, so I'm looking forward to this immensely. No. Do we need ice? It's one of the big questions.
I will allow you to pour your own because I know you like a stronger one than I do.
This is the thing. So Claire and I have known each other now for, I think, nearly 7 years. And in that time, Claire has learnt that she needs to use a shot glass because if she leaves me to do free pours, bad things happen. It's just not how it should be. Here we go. Here comes the ice. I'll finish this off because, you know, don't like waste.
Try not to splash you.
Well, you know, if you do, you do. It's good skills though.
Yeah, it's because I'm from New Zealand.
It's New Zealand. You're basically you're passing it. It's like you know, it's like you could play fly half. It's amazing. Okay, let's do. I feel like we need more than one tonic, but not as many as two.
Okay.
I think like you need 2 bottles of tonic between 3 drinks.
Okay, perfect.
But we're not making
they
the 3rd
are.
drink.
What size are those?
Are they 200s?
They might be
150.
150s. Yeah. So they are.
Okay, so
That's quite a good size for. Say you did a big double gin and tonic. That would be a good size for a single serve.
150 is the same size as a can of Fever Tree, for example. If you want to equate it to something that's, or Schweppes.
Something that if I do a double shot, I would use that. If I did a single shot, I would use less of it. So
what is that?
I would say a shot and a half, probably.
Right, so I've probably got it about right. So we've got no garnish in here so far.
Ooh. You get more of the cherries with the tonic in, definitely.
But more rounded cherry. I actually can
Again, not overtly sweet.
No, because before I got sugar, and now I feel like I'm actually tasting the cherry.
Yes, because cherries are slightly sour, aren't they, naturally? And
yeah,
so
there's a nice balance. So I thought that, you know, there's no, on the website from what you know, what we discussed, there's nothing on the website that gives a suggested garnish. But what I thought, I had lying around some maraschino cherries, which is a very luxuriant thing to just have lying around. But
As you do.
we had them lying around.
It turns out they work as a garnish for a couple of other gins. So.
Yeah, we like Roku gin, don't we?
Yeah.
We're a big fan of that with a maraschino cherry. So we're going to put one of these in. And just a little bit of syrup in there. Not enough to colour the glass too much. Just a weebs. Is that a New Zealand thing or is that a Claire thing?
I think it's a Claire thing. I'm not sure. I was discussing this with someone the other day where the shortening of words and putting an S on the end comes from. I'm not sure whether it comes from New Zealand or somewhere else, but I've picked it up.
Yeah. And then, just as a little nod to the sort of citrus things, which, as I said, we didn't really pick up so much with it neat, but we're going to give it a go here.
Yeah, because there's definitely a New Zealand lemon in there, but...
Let's bang this in as well and see.
This might bring it to the forefront.
Yeah. Okay, let's have a little go. Cheers.
Cheers, brew.
Cheers, brew. Ooh.
Yeah. I really like what the lemon is doing because it's giving it an extra bite, which makes it moreish.
Well, the thing is, like, if it's just sweet, it becomes sort of acrid after a while and it sort of coats the back of your mouth if it's too sweet. You know, like if I were to have this whole jar of cherries, like after a while the kind of sugary syrup stuff would just start to go, would start to cloy. And this sort of lifts everything away.
Yeah,
palatally.
And also isn't it about having different... So you've got sweetness, if you also have bitterness and sourness, it's about... stimulating the different taste senses.
On your tongue, there are different parts of the tongue that are designed to pick up, like sweet, sour, blah, 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 blah. And you actually stimulate more of the overall mouth.
Yes.
The sort of more complex. It's the same reason, personally, I can't eat a bowl of tomato pasta. So I just feel like it's stimulating one thing and I'm bored after about 3 bites. Yeah. I'd much rather have a bit of that and a bit of that and a bit of that. And, you know, people in the UK, they sort of say it's quite a feminine trait that, like, girls want to, like, eat a bit of that and a bit of that. But I think it's rubbish. I think it's just, that's what I would like to do.
Yeah, I think that's what piques our interest as such.
So I just want to go out with a group of 8 people for dinner. And,
yeah.
like, eat all of everyone's food. Like, well, bit of everyone's food, maybe all of everyone's food, you know.
Yeah.
Don't get like this looking at food, I tell you.
Can I do a little shout out to a gin that we both love called Hills and Harbour, because I remember.
Yaha.
So I went to the True Origins Scottish Gin Festival, which was wonderful. Everybody should go. Really enjoyed it. You did not come with me.
I didn't because I wasn't
you were unavailable.
But can I say that I actually mentioned this gin to you before?
Exactly. So I was on the lookout for it.
I was in Edinburgh and I just found it.
Yes, and you knew I would like it because I've gotten into my seaweed gins.
So Claire really likes this Irish seaweed gin called Andulliman, which we're just going to show up here. We can talk about
At some point we might have to do a seaweed gin episode, but...
And I said, imagine having all of that flavour, seaweed, kelp, everything that reminds you of the sea, everything very savoury. And then randomly some dude in Edinburgh thought, what happened if you added mango? I mean, that sounds horrific.
No, but so the point, because I went to the masterclass at the True Origins Festival, the point was they were trying to come up with a flavour that satisfied all of the different taste senses.
The whole tongue, basically.
Yes, exactly, and that was their aim. So they came up with something for each. A sweet, a sour, a bitter, umami, salty, that sort of thing. So it's beautifully balanced. And really exciting.
And the one thing it doesn't have in it is spice. But then, if they their suggested serve is with pink peppercorns.
Yes.
And then you put pink peppercorns in, and it's like, well, it's now a complete gin.
Yeah.
It's like they forgot spice right at the end, and then they said, oh, let's put pink peppercorns suggested serve. Yeah. And so they absolutely nailed it. It's either that they forgot or they just left that one open so they could put a garnish that actually meant something.
Perhaps, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's that.
Because perhaps if you put spice in the gin itself, you might lose some of the subtlety of the seaweeds and that sort of thing.
You end up with like a kind of conflict. All about the seaweed. But Hills and Harbour, absolutely. We should do a whole thing on that.
Beautiful gin.
Cheers. Let's have one more go at this, because I've forgotten how this tastes now, apart from being deliciously sweet and a little hint of citrus. You can't get this gin in the UK. Like, obviously...
Yet.
One of the things is that we are really excited to try local gins, smaller companies who are starting out or companies that are particularly based in a certain area. And that's sort of quite an exciting thing. So, you know, if you guys watching this think that you found something wherever you've been, if you've been travelling around Samoa or somewhere and you found a gin that, you know, piques your interest, like, please drop us a tweet or, you know, a message and let us know all about it, because we'll try and get hold of it. Yeah. That's what it's about, rather than it just being like, let's see what Gordon's taste like for the umpteenth time. It's about finding the interesting ones, and this is very interesting.
Exactly. I don't think I've ever had a gin with cherries. I mean not with cherries. I've used it as a garnish, but with cherries
as a botanical.
Yeah.
As a sort, and that's the sort of you know, the kind of champion.
Yes.
It's the kind of, you know, the main course is cherry, isn't it?
And because cherries themselves have a little bit of bitterness and sourness in them, it's not...
They're tongue fillers.
Aggressively sweet.
They're tongue fillers, aren't
they?
Yeah.
Exactly.
They've got that sharpness of a fruit, the sweetness of a fruit, sourness, bitterness. It's not a savoury element, but they've balanced it out with some juniper and other things in here.
Exactly, sort of the other standard gin botanicals. So
I did miss a little bit of the I have to say I did miss a little bit of the citrus element.
Yeah, I think the citrus could have been more forward, but that is entirely solved by just adding it as a garnish.
Yeah, and I think they suggest that, don't they? They suggest that as something you should do, is add a sort of citrus garnish, and that again, maybe they deliberately left that out so.
Exactly, like the Hills and Harbour pepper.
So you get a fresh...
Yeah, so our New Zealand viewers, get some of this and pop a bit of lemon peel in it.
And also, the most exciting thing is it's got like the country of New Zealand on it.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that, yes.
Isn't it? You want to talk
about that? Show that
to
our viewers. So I only noticed this in looking closely at it just about an hour ago, but the tail of the second 9 is actually the country of New Zealand. Isn't that adorable?
It's amazing. So
I absolutely love that. I may have become British, but I'm so proud of my roots.
But it's a gin that loves its home.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about, because I know that
I go to a town, I want to find the gin.
Yes, exactly.
You went to a town, you
and
found a gin.
and
Yeah.
exactly. And for me, having left New Zealand 10 years ago, gin wasn't really a thing. I think I knew about Bombay Sapphire and that sort of thing, but I only really got into gin when I moved to the UK and met this chap over here. So it's really exciting that there are these New Zealand gins coming out, and people are starting to use the more interesting botanicals and that sort of thing. So I'm excited to see where it goes next. And I think we will be doing a little New Zealand gin app at some point as well.
You've got a few
Because
kicking
I've got
around.
a few
haven't we?
other kicking around, but we will get to those in the future.
But we'd like to say thanks to 1919.
Yeah, thank you
Distillery.
so much, 1919. We've loved trying your gin.
Yeah.
And
So much. I'm just going to pour the end of that in there. Just no wastage.
exactly,
Waste not,
and
want
this one won't last long either.
not. No.
Oh, hang on, we were going to try the other tonics, weren't we? Very, very quickly.
Ooh, yes.
Very,
Does that
very
mean we have to
quickly.
try the whole thing or not?
Sorry.
So this tonic, Royal Botanic tonic, this is actually amazing because this is like us. It's a
We're Royal Botanics.
no, although obviously, it's a collaboration between Australasia and the UK, which is us. It's a New Zealand tonic in collaboration with the Royal Botanical Gardens in Kew. I don't know if I put it close enough there you can see it. Oh, hello.
See?
Taxi. Kew. Which is a few miles away from where we are now.
Yep.
Not far at all. And so this is like the perfect marriage of two wonderful countries. Just like perfect marriage of two wonderful countries. And so
I feel like this tonic was born when I swore allegiance to the Queen.
Anyway, shall we try it?
Yes,
Let's see
absolutely.
so what are the botanicals of this? What makes it different?
I'm not sure. I didn't do my research on the
Ruby
tonics.
red grapefruit, elderflower and ruby red grapefruit. I mean, that's so English.
Sounds wonderful.
Isn't that English?
Right, where's your shot glass?
Where's my shot glass? He says.
Not like you to not know where your shot glass is. So
It's
just a
usually in my
little
pocket.
splish splash. Because I want to enjoy this and, I don't want to...
Be dead.
Exactly. I'm still jet lagged.
I just found out really recently in the last week I'm not allergic to grapefruit. It's the most exciting thing. Previously I'd had grapefruit twice in my life and I had anaphylaxis twice. But I was younger than 10 both times. I tried it as an adult and I can have grapefruit. Isn't that exciting?
This is like a garden party in my mouth.
Oh my god. Well, it's elderflower, isn't it? For my taste, there's too much elderflower. So what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to put a bit more gin in, because I'm a lush, but just see if I can balance it a little bit, because I think I've just got the quantity slightly wrong.
But for anyone who likes elderflower, because I know, in the
It's
UK,
wonderful.
elderflower tonics are quite popular.
There we go.
So it is quite elderflower forward, but
There we go.
yeah.
I think in order to drink this, you've got to be somebody who really likes gin, because the tonic or doesn't actually. One or the other. It's very, very elderflower laden, and that's because, dare I say it, it's a non-English company exhibiting the best of British. And elderflower is a classic British thing, isn't it?
Yes.
There's just a lot of it in there. And my godmother, who is 80, she was born in, she won't thank me for this, she was born in 1935. So what does that make her? She'll be November, so she'll be 83. She's obsessed with elderflower. Like, obsessed. Like, she's more obsessed with elderflower than I am with gin. And so she
Wow.
would love this. So for me, it's just all about carefully balancing it. And I wonder, I'm just going to go one step further. I'm going to add a little bit more gin. I'm going to go whether there's a half and half option. So I've got a little bit of the Royal Botanic and a little bit of the standard in there. Oh, do I just need a little bit of
I
that?
need a little bit of the other one. Yeah.
Just to sort of balance it all out. It's my worry that you end up with a tonic that's so overpowering or so sweet that it obscures the sort of flavour of the gin.
Yeah.
I tell you what these tonics are really good for is if you don't listen to any of our blogs at all and you just buy rubbish gin, buy a good tonic.
Yeah.
Because that could, if you like that, if you like elderflower, that could save a terrible gin.
Yeah.
You know.
And also, some gins would be more suited to an elderflower as well. I
Uh-huh.
feel like this one already being...
Cherry
already
is
having the
such a
sweetness
strong
of the
flavour already.
cherries, I wouldn't want to drink this one with the Botanic gin. Whereas,
Yeah.
for example, a different gin I might go for
Absolutely.
a different tonic with.
It does work half and half. Like, I've not got a cold. I've not got a cold.
Okay,
Go for it.
fine.
I think that's good.
Yeah. Actually, I like that. It does something.
So you've got a bit of elderflower in there, but you've got the sharpness of the grapefruit,
Yeah.
which possibly was the one element that was missing from the gin, was the citrus as well. So everything's balanced. You've got the sweetness of the elderflower kicking in with the sweetness of the cherries, a citrus element, a heavy gin element, because I put quite a bit of gin in there.
That's beautiful. That's a
really
winner.
nice thing. So
just quickly, we've also got a grapefruit tonic, don't we?
we do. So let's go for it. So does that mean I have to continue drinking?
Yes.
You
need to do that. Can you pass me
There you
the...
go. Do you know what? You went
Thingamajig?
running for one of those, and we actually got it out earlier.
Jesus.
We were more organised.
Oh boy, that smells like grapefruit immediately.
I'm an infant when it comes to grapefruit, because I've only found out in the last 2 weeks I can have it. But yeah, it smells like grapefruit. Makes me happy.
I feel like cherries and grapefruit's going to work.
It shouldn't it?
Because they're going to match.
Well, if you think about
slight
cherry,
bitterness.
we put cherries and lemon together. Cherries and grapefruit's just a bit more interesting.
Right, I've just done the tiniest splash because I need to be responsible.
For what?
Live.
Okay, so it's not a concept. That I'm
I
acquainted
don't
with.
dislike that.
What would grapefruit and elderflower be like?
What, you thinking of mixing the two tonics?
Mm-hmm.
Give it a go. That's why we're here.
It's nice. So what's in this? Grapefruit, and more grapefruit. Pomelo. Is that how you say it? Pomelo. I never really know what it is. Sugar. Shh, don't tell anyone. Great. So what about if we had a little bit of this? I feel like Dr. Spock. It's amazing.
I was going to say, like a little alchemist or something.
Why don't you do that? Just have a little go.
Okay.
I just feel like this is the one. Basically, what we're doing here, like probably quite boringly in front of camera for you, is proving that actually you can just do whatever you want with gin. Like, just find the things that work for you. It's like cooking, you know. I've never followed a recipe book in my life when it comes to cooking, and between the two of us, we've cooked some of the most disgustingly brilliant food in the world, because it's basically all unctuous.
Because we're ideas people.
Ideas people, fat laden, duck fat roasted potatoes, like when you chuck on the juice of the meat that you're roasting as well, and then add extra lard at the end. Like, that's the sort of people we are. Like, you look sickeningly thin, like you just eat less of it than I do. But yeah.
Oh.
Did I leave you hanging?
Leave a girl hanging.
That's quite interesting as well. Less successful than the last one, but still quite successful.
It's a nice drink. It's just that I don't get as much of the gin as I did in the last one. And therefore, so again, that is a lovely combination if you were to use a less interesting gin.
You know that bottle of gin that's when you're at Christmas and you get to about December the 27th and you're still stuck at your nan's, and she's got that one bottle of gin left and you're like, oh, it's horrible, but can I drink it? Just go out and make sure you get really good tonic.
Yeah.
And it will save everything. You need either very good gin or very good tonic, and ideally both, but this will save you.
Yeah, exactly.
Fortunately, we're drinking amazing gin, so...
And the worse the gin, the more tonic you want.
That's also true.
Yeah.
Just bigger glasses, right?
Yeah.
Just do it in a pint glass.
Totes.
So have you ever had gin tonic in a pint glass?
No, it sounds revolting.
No, me neither. Great, anyway, thanks very much.
Sorry, we should stop talking at you guys and
Yeah, drink a lot more gin.
finish our lovely made-up 1919 gin and tonics.
Cheers, thank you so much for the free gin.
Yeah.
And we look forward to seeing you in the UK sometime soon.
Yeah.